Hello, and welcome to December edition of Education is the Best Medicine. Thanks for watching, and I want to thank everybody. I want to thank all the people that helped me in this transitional year. Uh, you know, family, friends, people that depend on you, people that don't think they depend on you, but they do depend on you. And kind of have to break down those barriers and the standoffishness and make it a better world. So I want to give a special shout out to uh, Dennis Jones. He recently passed, and they're doing a event for him from 1 to 4 today at one of the funeral homes in Oakland. And I have to go attend, so I want to thank you folks for tuning in. He would have wanted me to do the show, so he was that kind of brother. He was a stand-up black man, and we went through a lot together. And I wish him and his partner well. She's set everything up, and she's quite naturally kind of taken by it, but we'll get along. So, good afternoon. Thanks for watching. Remember, community access is your best bet, and want to continue the discussions. It's December, and I always talk about truths, the whom, what, when, where, why situation. And I want to say that I want to give a special shout out to Mr. Isaiah Bing, who's celebrating a birthday. And he's going to be celebrating. I'm going to wish him well. And the disclosed location of the party, I'm going to make it. Love you lots, black man. You've been a real stellar person in my life. We've known each other for years, and again, he's a special guy. But what's really going on here? Look at the current state of affairs, and remember I said, the lie is the truth's a lie, and here we are in that situation. And I guess I wanted to discuss just thinking about, I was going to post some questions about, what do you think about this American experience? And how you think things are going to play themselves out. Certainly, we are getting to understand some inevitable truths about ourselves, our government, who we are as a community, and I think that's really important. And I have to kind of self-reveal, because I'm the person that says go see the evidence and go watch the evidence, do your homework and that kind of thing. And I guess I didn't do that. So I've been using a thing called National Day, and I just liked it. But again, you have to look at these things with a grain of salt. So I looked in December, and again, it's about doing your homework. And I should have had a disclaimer that a majority of these days are funded by different entities. And it makes sense that, I want to push in December's case, apples and cakes and pies and all that kind of good stuff. But there's no national day about it. This is a consumer-led piece, and is put by the company to push their product. I always have to remember to follow the money, of course. And so what happened was I was doing a summary for December, and it kept, I kept seeing things like, in the calendar, stuff like Bacon Day and Bicarbonate of Soda Day and National Purple Pot Day, and National Candy and Chocolate Candy Day, and National Fruit Cake Day, and National Candy Cane Day. I didn't forget that one. So we always have to be careful that what we're being fed. Is it in our best interest, or is it in interest of those that are, as we can see right now, want to ensure that they save a buck or steal a buck? And so I went a little bit deep and says in the United States, it says the national day can be referred to in 3 different systems. Okay, this a calendar I was using. I was like, oh, this is some good stuff, right? It says unofficial federal observances established by Congress or presidential proclamation. Those are the official ones, right? Unofficial awareness or commemorative days like health, culture, history. Commercial or promotional national days, National Donut Day, National Ice Cream Day. And most of the people that encounter these things online and look for that day are usually looking at the 3rd number, commercial or promotional national days. So why am I bringing this up? For the last year, I've been pulling a lot of things out there and kind of highlighting them, but understand now that some of this was official, but a majority of it wasn't, and a majority of it was to sell or buy a product. So that's why you have to be careful and do your homework. It says that only a small fraction of national days are official in this calendar, and most food and novelty days are marketing tools, right? So America is always trying to sell us something, sell you something. And even me, I can get caught up in the art of the sale or to hear the art of the deal. What's that going on? What's that about? And private companies largely control the modern national day ecosystem. Big business again. Tell you what to drink, what to eat, where to sleep, what to sleep on, what to wear, who's hot, who's not. December had an anti-Barbie and Ken Day, anti-Barbie and I forget the little dinosaur. They were against that, okay? Golly, I get you. But again, most food and novelty days are marketing days. So National Donut Day is probably put out by the National Donut Association that wants to sell, the major donut chains, right? Or that mom and pop store, right? I like the mom and pop store myself. In Oakland, and private companies to get in control of the modern national day ecosystem. Awareness, health, and civil rights are generally have substantive missions, while food and novelty days are commercially driven, right? So for this last year, if I talk to you about food, it has some money behind it. This calendar has money behind it. It's a promotion for, again, what got me in December is so much food. Candy cane, chocolate, wow. And we're trying to get folks to, for the last 4 months of the year, starting with Halloween, really eat what you can and eat till you're crazy food. And that's what caused a lot of the problems. So by January, you're overweight and wondering what happened. It was the holidays. It was the extra liquor in the drink or the extra eggnog. That's who we are. We have to change our behavior. 80% of medical issues can be addressed through lifestyle changes. Simple. Weight loss, plant-based diet, exercise, decrease alcohol, tobacco. If you not remove it, stress reduction, those kinds of things. 80%. And so, of course, I went to GPT chat and asked them to filter out all that stuff in December and what were we going to be left with. And what we were left with was civic, health, and equity observances that are kind of relevant, right? So first one was World AIDS Day, the third on December 1st. December 3rd was International Day of Persons with Disabilities, and December 5th was International Volunteer Days for Economic and Social Development. I picked some two out of it too, but these were again non-commercial for the good for the common good. December 10th was Human Rights Day. December 18th, International Migrants Day. And December 20th was International Human Solidarity Day. And now I do some ones like homelessness and stuff, but again, these are things we need to kind of understand. I want to thank the Facebook family, and hey, it stays on fine. There's a problem with the internet here, so I thought I'd try it one more time since it's next to the last show of the year for me. So the month-long and long week observances were kind of National Impaired Driving Prevention Month, Safe Toys and Gifts Month, good stuff, all in December. And again, it depends on how your perception of Christmas and what Christmas means to you. Do you still celebrate it? And so some of the observances were often used in health and community settings and were optional. They're not federal holidays, but they're commonly used in community health, behavioral health, and social service programming. Example, holidays on depression and grief awareness and formal focus. But what they excluded was food days, brand-driven awareness days, social media novelty observances, and pay-to-list national days. So what were we left with? We were left with 4 items out of December that weren't commercially driven, didn't have an axe to grind, were for the good of the common good of people, and it's something everybody should be able to get behind. And so, one of the ones that I like was the National Guard Day. So why is that? Because I'm a past military. I was a warrant officer in a 352nd Evacuation Hospital. I was and also was a lead battalion medical platoon lead for battalion medical chief, which was kind of interesting. It got me into population health and group health, and the dynamics of understanding when groups come together, what can happen to them. From physical, sexual to environmental issues, depending on what the issues are. So December is National Guard Day. It's the United States National Guard, composed of the Army and of the Air National Guard in California. And members serve dual roles. State missions under governors and federal missions under the president. So why did I bring this up? Because, yes, the commander of this country at this particular time can call up military to, do whatever, but it's supposed to be for the common good. It's not supposed to be to suppress other human beings, particularly American citizens. So I think it's the idea that's gone a little awry. And so National Guard Day recognizes the service, readiness, and contributions of National Guard members both historically and today. And so they usually do it on December 13th. They commemorate December 13th, 1636, when the Massachusetts Bay County organized militia regiments considered the origin of the National Guard, making it the oldest military force in the United States. That's kind of cool. Well, hey, why does it matter? The National Guard plays a unique and essential role by responding to national disaster, fires, floods, earthquakes, supporting public health emergencies, in COVID response and vaccination logistics, and national emergencies, civic emergencies, and infrastructure protection, deploying overseas in combat and peacekeeping missions. Guard members often balance civil careers, family responsibilities, and military service, embodying the concept of the citizen soldier. I am proud to be this one. I want to give out a real shout to the family who lost a young lady on the East Coast, and the gentleman who was also injured. I wish him God to be well, and wish the family loss of a daughter is just tragic. So the take-home message for the National Guard is a community-based force, community-based force that operates at the intersection of public safety, national defense, and humanitarian response. Its strength lies in being locally rooted yet nationally deployable. Recognition on National Guard Day is about acknowledging service that is often quiet, rapid response, and essential in times of crisis. So again, thank you out there to the National Guard. I was proud to serve in the military and as an Army, then transferred to the Guard, and where I did like 12 years, which is kind of long for me, but that's good stuff. How can people support the Guard? How can acknowledge Guard members and their families, educate communities about Guard domestic and public health roles, support veteran and military family services, include Guard service recognition in civic and institutional programs. And that's what I'm doing today. Thank you very much for your service, and wish you safety in the new year. I thought this was kind of cute. National Pearl Day, all right? I think pearls are a different kind of a gemstone. And I think that I think the earliest memories of my mom was wearing pearls, a white set of pearls with white pearl earrings in a kind of a polka dot dress. She's beautiful. My mom was beautiful. So, National Pearl Day summary. The jewelry industry, gemologists, designers, and retailers, pearl farmers, and cultural institutions highlighting pearls' historical significance in consumers and collectors. I just think there's nothing prettier than a black woman in pearls. It's just me. Not that diamonds aren't not good, but pearl just says that you just have to have a particular style to wear pearls. National and cultural origins, history and culture and aesthetic significance, and its usually was used across civilizations and eras. And they usually celebrate on December 11th. Pearls are the only gemstone formed by living organisms. That's an interesting. Historically associated with royalty, wealth, and ritual across cultures, Asian, Middle East, European, but not African. But hey, we're catching that. My observances are largely education and promotional, highlighting craftsmanship and gem science rather than the civic or governmental things, right? Take home, hey, National Pearl Day is not a federal or government recognized observance. I just thought pearls are nice. They look nice on women. It is primarily an industry driven and cultural recognition day, commonly used in education, marketing, and appreciation of gemology and design. Again. It's commercial though, right? Just get back to it's commercial. It gets pushed. Another interesting day I thought was kind of interesting is Make Up Your Mind Day. It says individuals and sex. I want to thank Kenyatta, my son, and his new partner, and the new grandson I have, and hey, we'll see how things work out. You know, maybe this is they say a turning point in his life. So that's what that's about. Anyway, it's about 19 minutes into the show. This is Believe Radio, a 24-hour inspirational gospel music station. Owner is Etymology. Curtis, love you lots, man. And we'll wish you all the best. Going to work with you. Love you a lot, man. Etymology is the owner of the station and promotes the Believe Radio concept, 24-hour inspirational gospel music. Also, give a shout out to Miss Bauer Howard and the Conscious Voices group, and the her. You can see her on the station and the number shows on Believe Radio. You know, download, check them out. Tell me what you think. All's good. So the next was Make Up Your Mind Day. I thought about my son. I said that. Individual and organizations promote decision-making, reflection, and goal setting. Commonly referenced by educators, coaches, and personal development writers, not associated with any governmental body. Make up your mind day is an informal observance of encouraging people to resolve indecision. We all need to do that, right? How many times you just do I do this? Do I do that? I pray and I ask for guidance and I make the best move that I can. Make commitments, set intentions for the future. And boy, has it been cold this month? I don't know. It's been really cold. Just people, please stay warm. Take care of yourselves. You know, the they say the orange juice and tea and all that stuff is coming. Anyway, make up your mind and informal observance of encouraging people to resolve decisions, make commitments, set intentions for the future. Is often framed as a moment to stop procrastinating and take deliberate action. And that's what we need to do, take deliberate action. I want to thank all the Facebook folks for tuning in. Appreciate you all. Thank you. We're going to grow this. We're going to be doing some on-set, talking with the etymology now about how we're going to be doing more Zoom-type issues and giving more people on the platform. I want to thank folks for supporting it, and we got to keep it moving. We need these kinds of mediums now. We are at risk of losing our First Amendment rights if we don't speak up for them. And that means putting yourself out there. And yes, that's really uncomfortable and scary, but if we don't, then who does? Our children can't do it. They're expecting us to do the right thing. My grandchildren, my granddaughters expecting me to do right. My grandson expecting me to do the right thing. That's the expectation. And so, and how is it observed? Again, make up your mind, right? Make up your mind. Make up your mind. Personal reflection and decision making, right? They say that you can make a decision or not make a decision, and not making a decision is a decision, right? So, anyway, I always believe in choice. Finalizing goals, plans, or resolutions, coaching, journaling, or end-of-year planning exercises, occasionally referencing or workplace or self-improvement. I've been noticing a lot about, loners and people that reflect, and the belief that those folks that can do that, because if you don't like yourself, if you can't reflect into yourself internally, then you can't help anybody else because you're still damaged. So part of the whole discussion is to know yourself as best you can, to be the best person you can be. Not perfect. No one's perfect. But be the best person that you can be. And for the people that are around you, and even to your enemies. Even to your enemies, you have to forgive. I had to forgive the young man who murdered my grandchild. I had to forgive him. So that's why this show. Because I could not let that rest. And what did I learn? I learned about gun violence. I learned about women of color, particularly African American women of color, being shot by a gun, and knowing the individual that killed them. That the person that pulled the trigger usually didn't have any kind of criminal background. That's what I learned. Yeah. So, take-home message is: it's a symbolic, informal reminder to act with intention before entering the new year. That's what the discussion is. The value lies in prompt reflection and commitment, and not in official recognition or public policy. We're still in December, right? So we've kind of negated some of the personal stuff, and I wanted to have that conversation. And I thought it's kind of a way of kind of ending the year, and we'll do some other stuff, but just wanted to kind of put December in perspective. Put your year in perspective. You've made it. You're alive. You're breathing. You may be sick. You may not be feeling well, but you're still here to function. My friend Dennis Jones can't do that. He passed just about a month or so ago. They're the same age. Um, National Winers Day. How about that? Do you know anybody that whines? I mean, they just whine about anything they can whine about. And this is to the general public. Media outlets, social commentators like myself, counter listing companies. There is no sponsoring governmental body or nonprofit organization for Stop Whining. National Winers Day is an informal novelty observance that playfully acknowledges complaining and whining, often in a humorous or self-aware way. I whine sometimes. Then I think about, well, gee, and not to be, morbid, but someone is probably doing worse than I am, and I just don't. I'm not aware of it. Definitely. So, it deliberately follows major holidays when fatigue and unmet expectations and final stress and social tensions are common. What exists is it should be a light outlet for post holiday frustration. Acknowledge that complaining can be a shared human behavior. In some interpretations, to encourage people to get the complaining out of their system and refocus. I like that one. See, in some interpretations, to encourage people to get complaining out of their system and refocus. The observance is not educational and it's not civic or health based, but I think we could be better if we whine less. And how is it observed? It's a data complain, right? Social media poster commentary, human-based workplace, or family conversations, right? Occasionally reframed as a reminder to shift from complaints to solutions. Sounds good to me. Hmm. Take home. Here's a take-home message, right? Serves as a cultural pressure valve, recognized as stress and distraction peak after the holidays. You ever think you kind of have like, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, they didn't come see me, or I didn't go see them, or something, or I don't have a job, or I'm hope I get a job, or hey, stuff happens. Stuff happens. It's not what happens; it's how you deal with it, right? Um, and I don't mean dumping on people or whining. So, what we need to do is reframe the day into a mental health or resilience message, align with stress management and burnout prevention, or provide one-line calendar script. What we are. And speaking of whining and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to observe National Homeless Persons Remembrance Day. People who have died while experiencing homelessness, advocacy organizations like faith community service providers and local governments, communities affected by housing insecurity. And I bring this up because housing, like drug addiction, weren't an issue until it was experienced by everybody. Because to a point, homelessness and addiction issues were criminalized, or they would say it was due to the person's own malfeasance. They just wanted this to be happening. And I haven't met a homeless person yet that said they want to be homeless. They said they didn't want to move from one situation to a. They want to go from the fat to the fire, or from a situation they're already in to a worse one, and uproot their belongings. But want to be homeless? No, it's not something I found people I've seen take care of want to do. And I was having a discussion of some housing issues around, who's homeless now? Young men, older men, single head of household, English as a second language, LBGT. It's a large path of folk that don't have a roof to put over their head, or don't have a safe place. Particularly, I feel for women, because so many things are happening for women. You have to worry about being raped and molested. It's just crazy. It's crazy. And domestic violence and that kind of thing that leads women that can't go back to the person, domestic violence, man or woman, or gender, or LBGT, are dealing with the same issues in an unsafe place. Um, and they marked it in the first day of the winter solstice, right? From old to new, right? Typically December 21st. And so, why does this exist? Well, what we talked about. People experiencing homeless died decades earlier than the house population. People experiencing homelessness died decades earlier than the house population. They dropped 10 to 20 years sooner. I saw that happen. One of my good friends is African American. He passed. He had diabetes, but he had psychiatric issues that he was a revolving door through one of the major public hospitals, Highland Hospital, I say it. And it wasn't Highland's fault, it was the fact that he had no place to live. And he had voices. Anyway. And so leading causes of death include exposure to the elements, untreated chronic illness, substance use disorder, violence, and that includes sexual abuse, stealing from folks, that kind of thing. Just anything you can imagine. Anything you can imagine. I want to thank all the folks that say on Facebook that are watching. It's working now. I when I've tried to run the show in the past, it's cut out because there was no signal, and so I decided not to do that. And we seem to be okay. I want to again thank the Facebook family. Watch the show, share it with folks again. Really, really, really thank you for being who you are and what you do. So and the day is also a memorial and a call to action, right? That's just this whole. Here's the discussion I have about what's going on now. They're building housing, but it's the $250,000 range housing. It's you got to have a 6-figure salary housing. It's not low income, it's affordable. So what's affordable to you may be low income to me, and what's low income to me may be affordable to you. That's the discussion that we're having now. I never would have thought that a 6-figure salary would put a person in poverty, but it is if you have 5 kids or 4 kids or 4 family. Amazing, huh? House observed they do candlelight visuals and reading names of those who died last year. Sounds they did that. Faith-based services and community gatherings. Now we're seeing more food banks. Again, food banks. After the decimation of the SNAP program, now what's mean spirited? What's Grinchy? To cut off food to families toward Thanksgiving and Christmas? If you even had any kind of love of those kind of holidays, why would you not want someone to eat? Why would you not want someone to eat? I don't get it. I don't get it. But it happens that way. And who's like to be homeless in California? People earning less than 30% of average median income, fixed income seniors, disabled adults, underemployed workers. Rent burden is the strongest predictor of homelessness in California. It's the strongest predictor of homelessness in California. Rent burden, how much it costs. So really in reality, 50% of your income, if you make $500, half of that has to go to rent or to a mortgage. That's unconscionable now. And we're talking about affordability. Affordability of what? Who feels better than they did 2 years ago? What are we being sold? What's the truth? What's a lie? Why all the hostility and and anger around doing the right thing? See, people only talk about you are hostile or angry when you want them to do the right thing. So, and again, extremely low income adults, that's most affected. People with serious mental illness and substance abuse disorders, often compounded by lack of treatment access, criminalization, and cycling through ERs, jails, shelters. My friend, uh, shelter increased risk. Homelessness frequently worsens these conditions. Older adults plus 50. Fastest growing homeless demographic in California. Above 50, the fastest growing homeless demographic in California. I don't think a guy 50 or a gal 50 or LBG or want to be homeless at 50. They didn't sign up for that. Early aging due to lifelong poverty, trauma, and health inequities. High rates of chronic disease and mortality. Herein lies the paradox. Chronic illness makes homelessness worse, and homelessness makes chronic illness worse. If you don't solve one, you're going to have the other and the impact on that one. Homelessness, chronic illness. Example, I can have a diabetic who wants to take their insulin, but they need a refrigerator to store their insulin. Or any of these SGLT2 injection drugs, they need a refrigerator for it. And if they can't store it, you can't keep the medicine. The medicine will go bad. Simple as that. It's real simple, but it's been made to be real complex. You know what's real simple? Expanding the benefits in the ACA for another 3 years till they figure out financing. What's not going to be good is if you cut the benefits off and have nowhere else for people to go. Medical systems cannot bring on new providers because the funds have been cut. That doesn't make sense to me. But that's what's going on. Now, if you continue to do things that are disrespectful, like cut my SNAP benefits, cut my medical, then that means you don't really care about me in society. That's what this whole issue is about. And in terms of affordability, or if you're a billionaire, you don't have a concept of affordability because affordability is different for you. But that's when you don't think what I think is important. And remember, 75% of Americans voted for him. 75%. I still can't get that number out of my brain. 75% of Americans voted for this. And now they have a problem with it. So, Black and Indigenous Californians severely are overrepresented relative to the population size. As a result of historic redlining, discriminatory housing and lending practices, criminal justice inequities, intergenerational wealth gaps. So when you look at African Americans, Native Americans, because I asked the question, what was this? How was this intersection? And it came up with this. People exiting institutions, recently released from incarceration, foster care, all those are more risk for housing and equities. Coming out of psychiatric hospitals, coming out of trauma situations. Unlike some states, most homeless Californians were housed locally before losing housing. Migration is not the primary driver of housing costs and instability care. We are here. We're here now. It's not somebody else's problem. No one else did it. No one else did it. It's we're on time. I'll tell you that. Well, thank everyone for watching. Appreciate you all. Appreciate all the things that everyone does to be who they are. Appreciate you. It's tough being peaceful. It's tough being loving. It's tough being understanding. It's tough sharing. But you have to do it. It's in your DNA. So the bottom line, but here, again, I gotta say this again. Most homeless Californians were housed locally before losing housing, which means they had a place to live before they lost their housing. Migration is not the primary driver. Someone coming from somewhere else coming into the state here is not the reason why the housing cost and instability care. It's the inability to afford the rent. 50% of your income, really more like 3/4 of your income. I really agree. So the bottom line is that we want to remember that homelessness can be lethal, and it's not merely inconvenient. In California, in most often face people are already vulnerable due to poverty, racism, disability, age, and systemic fears, not personal choice. And speaking of personal choice, because we're getting down to it, I want to thank you folks for tuning in and watching and share the program. And we've been talking about this all year. It's just starting to come to a head. You're starting to see it now. Because if I'm radical, then everyone is. Everyone should be. That's what the deal is. So one of the more interesting days was Forefathers Day in December, right? So what's Forefathers Day? It's descendants of the Pilgrims and early English settlers, historical lineage and society, the Pilgrim Society, primarily observed in New England and especially in Massachusetts, one of the first colonies, right? Forefather Day commemorates the landing of the Mayflower Pilgrims and the early colonial settlers who established Plymouth colony. What did Malcolm X say? Plymouth Rock landed on. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us, meaning African Americans. I have to include the indigenous folks in the community. Although Native Americans did have slaves, they need to own up to the fact that they also had slaves. 5 tribes had slaves. Everybody wanted African Americans to be a slave. Was that the collar they had to put us on? Speaking of collars, Shadur Sanders is one of the black men we should be watching just because of his tenacity and his very racist environment he has to deal with. Ask Colin Kaepernick about racism in football. Ask Jefferson Joe Street Gilliam, Pittsburgh Steelers, one of the first black quarterbacks, what about racism? This is nothing new. And they don't like his father anyway. So black man that has a family and try to take care of his kids, they don't like that. Why wouldn't they like a black man? Why wouldn't they like a black man and black sons together? Because it goes against the face of all the dogma they've created in this country over the last 400 years. So to honor the European colony founders of the Plymouth colony, Plymouth Rock, right? to celebrate narratives of religious freedom, self-governance, and perseverance, right? It reflects a colonial origin story of the United States as told primarily from a European settler perspective, just like Thanksgiving, just like Christmas. And so, what's the clinical perspective? I asked, well, what about if the land was already occupied? Critical perspective, land already occupied. Indigenous Native American perspective. From an indigenous viewpoint, particularly that of the Wampanoag people, spelled Wampanoag people. You never hear about them in history, but they're the Indian tribe that was able to keep the settlers from dying and persevere. And it was a tense relationship that Thanksgiving. Because soon after they would come in and kill them and take their land and put them on reservations after they had helped them through that first winter. That's why we want revisionist history and real history. Anybody that wants to give Charlie Kirk a statue is no friend of mine. How could he be? He disparaged one of the greatest men that we care about, Martin Luther King. And he's young. He was young. He was young. From indigenous viewpoint, particularly that of the Wampanoag tribe, who laid whose land the Pilgrims settled on, right? The land was already inhabited and governed and cultivated. The arrival of settlers represented invasion, displacement, and loss of sovereignty. Early cooperation, allegiances, and shared harvests occurred in the context of devastating epidemics that had already reduced Native American populations. Power imbalances favoring settlers. So that's what they were. Yeah, they put out the hand of peace and love and understanding. What they got back was war. War on them. War on their people. Raping of their daughters and their wives. Killing. But they were the forefathers. This is forefathers' day, though, right? And over time, colonization led to land theft, forced removals, cultural suppression, systemic violence. Jim Thorpe, reading about him, one of the greatest Native American athletes of this century, of the last century. He died from alcoholism, I think. From an African American perspective on on Forefathers Day. The same colonial period celebrated by Forefathers Day coincided with the early entrenchment of chattel slavery. Africans were forcibly brought to North America without consent, denied freedom and land ownership and legal rights. The ideals of liberty and self-government celebrated in settler narratives explicitly excluded enslaved people. Colonial expansion created economic systems dependent on enslaved labor, racial hierarchy, and legalized inequality. So that's the history the founding fathers want us to embrace. Why would people want to not embrace enslaved labor, racial hierarchy, legalized inequality? Why would we just eat that up? Make you feel good in your soul, right? African American framing. Forefathers Day highlights a founding history that celebrates freedom for some while institutionalizing the bondage of others. The Constitution was an institutionalization of slavery. It made us 3/5 of a human being in 1776. Why don't you hear about the famous plantations of his first 10 presidents? Because that's what they were. They were plantations. Because that's not the image they want to play. They want to say that we really came over here and want to serve the great white master and all that kind of good stuff. Speaking of that, I got the latest out here because it just bothers me. The coach of Michigan. Huh, I don't know what he was thinking about. He got above himself. He thought he could have his cake and eat it too. Man, going from a national championship to a prison cell. He looks like a deer with his in headlights, and all self-inflicted. This is a self-inflicted wound. That means you don't understand your history. That means you don't understand your culture. That means that you thought you were better than everybody else because you were a football coach. Because you won the national championship year before. Because you were given the reins to one of the most storied programs, football programs in America, and this is what you do. That's sad. That's what trauma does. That's what not an understanding of self does and culture does. It opens you up to be a target. A target. Absolute target. Anyway, I wish him well. So, bottom line, for Forefathers Day is the best. Forefathers Day is best understood not as a universal celebration, but as a colonial remembrance that must be contextualized within the broader realities of indigenous displacement and African American enslavement. So I would ask that they reframe this into a balanced civic or education statement about who we are and where we've been, where we've come to, and where we go to. So, some of the things today, hey, have to be clear about what you're reading, what you're learning, and where it's coming from. Is it clear and unbiased, or does it have so much money behind it? You can't help but push the products. Know who you're dealing with, right? Have to. That's the context in which society lives. I want to thank you for tuning in. This is next to our last show for 2025. I want to thank all the folks that have made my life. I want to thank Dr. Lenore, Dr. Tunde, Dr. Green, Roslyn, Nurse Roslyn RN. Those folks are really important. Mark Jordan, Banana Fisher, thanks for helping me with Education is the Best Medicine. Appreciate your help and the support you provided. And all the people that continue to have dreams, and believe anything is possible and not be damaged by all the hate, even family. That could be the most painful. But you have to survive and move on and understand it. This is Believe Radio, 24-hour inspirational gospel music. I'm George Pierce. I'm a physician's assistant. Been practicing about 43 years in internal medicine, family practice, addiction medicine, behavioral health. I believe in shared decision making, patient/person-centered care, trauma-informed care, and do no harm. Please have a good holiday season. Be careful out there. take care of yourselves. Um, let's start 2026 as best we can with wide-eyed optimism that things will get better and we can be better and we can survive this. Uh, Vote, understand the issues, get involved, learn what's going on in your communities. I like to really thank my resident board, Byron Ruffin Board. The Byron Ruffin Board, resident board, is a board that I work with that is about providing equity housing and doing some all the little things that continue to keep the property up and to get it ready for that next group of residents that need low income housing in a beautiful setting in South Brooklyn. Um, I think that we tend not to understand and be understanding. I was saying in one of the interviews I had, I said, we're lacking empathy right now. We're lacking empathy and understanding, and it shapes us in a way we've never had before. There's a real push for us to be not empathetic, not loving, not understanding, not caring, not sharing of yourself and your time with others, not giving. That's the push. But we can't be about the push. We have to be about the people, our children, grandchildren. What's going to be their legacy? What are we going to share? What are we going to provide? Where did your line was your line drawn in the stand, or you just accepted it? We've seen America unmask itself, and the mask under it is really, really, really ugly. It's like this beautiful porcelain face mask, and when you turn it up, it's all rotten inside. It's all decimated. It's disfigured. It was a show. It was a show for the realities. Again, I want to thank my Facebook family for tuning in and appreciate, hey, all your support. We tried to do it right this time. We did it on time, and my goodness, I think that we have nothing but the best of intentions. Nothing but the best. Again, I want to send out a special shout out to Dennis Jones and the family as they mourn his passing. I'm going to get to that funeral. I have to go. And Mr. Isaiah Bing, we'll see you on Sunday, man. I got you. Thanks for being who you are. I've been friends with you for so many years. And the Mossway Legends crew, thank you guys for coming up each year and hanging out, and good to see everybody. The hot dogs are good. Hot dogs are good. I like hot dogs. Can't make another hot dog. You know, these are all the guys I played basketball with and saw my son raised up, and now all our children have children, and that's always interesting to see that transition as we make a transition on. I want to thank again Believe Radio, Etymology, Curtis, love you, man. Still do, always will. And all the folks that make it possible here. You guys be safe out there. Remember, body is the temple of spirit. Take care of it. Take care of yourselves. Love on yourselves. Don't be so critical. This song by one of his brothers, the song is called You're So Beautiful. And it's about women of color particularly understand their beauty, and that it's not how we view you, it's how you view yourself. With that, hey, Peace out.